Okay, about 3 weeks ago, we had an election in the United States, and that midterm election did a lot of things, including a lot of states passed various propositions. Now that the votes are fully in, we know that Alabama has adopted a proposition that provides that the state courts of Alabama will not enforce any provisions requiring the imposition of foreign law. Foreign law is defined as being law from another country or culture. The purpose of that was to prevent the imposition of Muslim law. But one of the things included in that proposition was the provision that no foreign law shall be forced as a result of a contract. Now, people don't always realize this, but most contracts will have what's referred to as a choice of law provision. Choice of law provision just basically says what law will apply. It usually comes into existence when you have people who are entering contracts who are either from different states or different countries. In this instance, somebody in Alabama might, over the internet, enter an agreement to buy something from somebody in Canada, and the contract will provide that Canadian law shall apply. It doesn't mean that that person has to go to Canada to enforce any kind of the agreement, but it means that if an Alabama court were to enforce it, they would have to apply Canadian law. But now the question is, can they do that under this new proposition? Well, that takes us to the U.S. Constitution. The U.S. Constitution in Clause 1 provides that no state shall pass any law that prevents the enforcement of contractual obligations. Now, why did that exist? Why is that in the U.S. Constitution? It's in the U.S. Constitution because before we had the U.S. Constitution and had the Articles of Confederation, states were passing laws that allowed their citizens to avoid paying debt to foreign countries. Well, the Founding Fathers said not a good idea, because if we have that ability of states to pass a law that says you don't have to pay the debt that you incurred to somebody who lives in France or England or elsewhere, we're not going to be able to raise the money to develop our country. Therefore, we can't have states prohibiting the enforcement of a contractual obligation. So, the big issue now that's going to confront somebody who has a choice of law provision in a contract in Alabama that might use law from another country, such as Canada, is will that contractual provision be enforced? It might have been to their advantage to have the law of Canada enforced. Well, we're going to have to see how that works out, because it's only going to be decided when one of those cases is litigated. And once again, this demonstrates to us something we pointed out here at Legal Video Blog in the past. When a proposition is passed and people say this is a good idea, a lot of times there isn't real consideration given to the overall unintended consequences of that proposition. And it's the unintended consequences that can render, in some instances, a proposition being found unconstitutional. Similar proposition was found unconstitutional in Oklahoma, not so much because of a provision regarding contracts, but because it isolated and dealt with only Islamic law. Okay, well, we bring you this case, as we bring you cases every week, so you understand how the law works. I'm David Allen.